Yeah, cool. So the call is being recorded. I'll make the recordings available after the call meeting today, basically. So thank you so much, guys, for joining today's session. Um, so last week we had two master sessions. I'm just trying to run a recap where we talked about internet, how the internet works. And in that session, we talked about how data basically is being transported from one point to another in small chunks. We talked about what the internet is. We talked about the role of ISPs. And then we also had a session where we talked about the software development lifecycle. We looked at the six phases, and then we able to break down each of those components, that's each of those phases down to understand what it does. And I made available the two courses on our LMS so that you can as well go through and then read in depth. So today, I also wanted to make available the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript course as well. But I felt I don't want to like maybe overwhelm you guys. Moreover, I've not like done a proper intro into this session. So into these three concepts. So it won't be wise. I just put things out there for people to just go and look at things, get discouraged, and then feel like running away. So I was like, okay, we'll do an intro first. We'll get to understand the basics, the fundamentals of all these guys, how they work, and then we'll do some quick demos. Then you can have access to the materials. And I think I've also populated the LMS shortly before I jump on this call with the HTML and CSS materials as well. Just a quick one to also let you know, I want to also appreciate Mr. Joseph Adugo. Yeah, I saw your work. So for the record, you guys are the first to use that LMS. I built that guy from scratch so you'd like the first test users, and your feedback. I really appreciate it. There's something we could make better and all. Yeah, so maybe down the line, after we were done with our training, I don't mind absorbing some people that we could work together. Like you also understand how I get to work, and you get to learn from me. I'll get to learn from you, and then maybe we can still build a couple of things together. I love building a lot. I do a plenty research and then build a lot of things. Today I was talking to somebody, I started pulling out things I built. The guy was just amazed. So yeah, so that will be it. And why I was appreciating Mr. Joseph, I didn't mention, was the LMS has a lead board. I don't know if you guys were able to see it. So from that lead board, I'm able to track, like I can track the last time you logged in. I can track um, what the courses you've completed, the number of points you've gotten. And yeah, I think so far, Joseph had over 2,600 points on the LMS. So let's see how all those points, maybe later on, can convert them to something tangible as we go. I'm not promising anything, so just hold me for anything, please. Yeah, so I'm just putting it out there. So that yeah, the essence, I also wanted to understand how people learn. I understand work schedule and all that will come in, but just as a form of encouragement, if you have time to just spend a few minutes to look at some of those courses. I made each of the lessons very brief so you could quickly scan through and all. Yeah, I also noticed that there are people that have not logged in since they got onboarded on the system. That's fine. I understand maybe work schedules and all that. I totally understand. Yeah. So let's jump into today's session. And another very interesting one fun fact about today's session is I didn't prepare anything like the PPT or I just felt like let's do this thing and then let me also feel on the call and then maybe find answers while we are on the call so you also understand that maybe the big engineers, you look at them out there that has 20, 30, 15 years experience and all that. Senior guys, senior engineers, we also flaw, we make mistakes, and we also research. Nobody knows all these things. So it is very okay for you to try and fail. In fact, once you're feeling, just tell yourself, well done, you started the learning process. So yeah. So while on the call, maybe if I skip anything, I can go back and also I could do a research on this call. You see me trying to find information. So the essence is, if you're also studying and you're also trying to build something and then you feel, you should be able to, you should also be able to maybe apply the same principles or the same flow and also look for answers first. So if you can't get all the answers right, you have to constantly keep doing research as a software engineer. That's why I love this field. You don't know everything here because technology evolves and things keep changing. I remember how we used to write HTML in 2017, 15, 16, 17, 18-ish, 19, and how HTML is being written by now, and not like what we were writing then is not working. It's working very fine, but there are some couple of better syntax to do things and all that. So yeah, you keep learning every day. You know it today does not mean it won't change. Certain things will get added to it. So yeah, it's a continuous learning phase. You have to, okay, you just have to put that at the back of your mind. And so yeah, all these things was just me trying to encourage you to keep learning and try to interact with the elements as well, and also do your own research to check things, right? So back to today's session. Today, like I said from the first introductory section, we'll be merging all these concepts together. And I'm also very happy that one of my friend, a senior engineer, is also on this call. So I'll appreciate it if you, like, once I start going or missing out things, put me on the spot, like unmute immediately and tell me, oh Sam, this is, I like people telling me to my face that nigga, you did the wrong thing. I take it and accept it in good faith. To me, it's a learning phase, right? Yeah, so I'm just saying so that you know who I'm, you know yourself. So yeah. Okay, so like I was saying, today's session, we'll be looking at HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But I'm keeping JavaScript aside. So we'll look at HTML and CSS. So in our session tomorrow, we'll look at JavaScript and then bring the knowledge of today and try to create like a synergy between those three. Ideally, maybe in a typical learning environment, those three can be being taught as standalone. But I don't want to go take you through that, finish HTML, go CSS, go, and it will become boring at some point, and you see it become very stretchy. And then with AI on board now, some of those things you can spin them fast. You understand as you build. Like I said, I still learn, right? So as you build it, you'll be learning new things. You'll be facing different challenges. So I'm not going to put you into that our archaic learning approach where they just put one book one side and teach you from A to Z, and then there's zero application. So I prefer we'll try to be doing some of those applications as we go, basically. So yeah, that's how I want us to learn together. So I'm debating a lot. Back to this lesson. So HTML, CSS. Once you look at these three pictures, already these three guys on my screen already explain these three concepts of what each of them is doing. Basically, and another thing I want you to understand is HTML is not a programming language. It is not a programming language. CSS is not a programming language either. The programming language here is JavaScript. So what is HTML? Stands for Hypertext Text Markup Language. So when you interact with your elements, you get to see all that. CSS, Cascading Style Sheet. HTML is a markup language. We have markdown too, right? Yeah, it's a markup language, basically. So what it does is it builds the structure. Is looking at these images now is as good as you want to build a human being, or you want to create a human being. So HTML allows you to arrange the bones. So if you want that human being to be short, it means you're going to give him short bones. If you want this guy to be a very tall guy, it means the tiles and all that has to be long tiles, long bones to make this guy tall and all. But if you want it dwarf, it means the bones are going to be really short, and then this guy is going to be a short guy. So this tells you that HTML defines the structure of your web application. It gives the structure. If you want your web page to be tall, it's going to be tall. So it just builds that structure. Just like this skeleton, you're only arranging the skeleton to form a human being. What does CSS then do? That's the guy that makes it fine. You come on board, do all the plenty fudge, dress the skeleton, put flesh, put skin colors, put hair, do all the fine decorations, wear the guy in nice suits, can even put him some blazers, shining stuff. That's when sometimes you visit the website and then you start seeing animations, things flying here and there, CSS at work, right? So it just puts all the fancy flashy stuffs, that's CSS. Then, but at this point, this human being, he can't think, he can't say, he can't yell if something is going wrong. It's just a dummy, a very fine looking dummy, right? You have just built a fine dummy that doesn't talk, that doesn't make decisions, that doesn't dance, that doesn't move. So what then now make this guy to be able to think, move, perform certain action? JavaScript now comes into play. So JavaScript now is the brain of the web, basically. So that's how those three guys work. HTML builds the skeleton, CSS make it look sharp, fine, beautiful, put nice suit, blings everywhere and all, but it's still a dummy. And then JavaScript now come on board. You know what? Let's make this guy to start thinking, to be able to move. This guy should be able to make decisions and all that. That's the job of JavaScript. It puts in that interactivity, like the ability to think, the ability to tell a user that, hey, you're supposed to type letters here, not numbers. Hey, what we expect here is for you to type numbers and not letters, right? So those are the works of JavaScript, does all the validations and all. So that's just the function of those three guys when it comes to front-end development. And that is everything you need to know about front-end development. As many, let's say I wanted to end this whole program, I can tell you that that's the end of this program. Because that's everything you need to know. Every other thing coming are just add-ons. For example, now let's say we want to make writing of CSS easy. It has frameworks. It has libraries. You now see people saying, I'm using Tailwind CSS. Bootstrap CSS. We used to write Bootstrap in those days. I wonder if anybody writes Bootstrap again. So those are like some of those frameworks that now makes writing of CSS very easy, right? Let me bring it back to a very typical scenario. Yeah, that's so they're just libraries, they're just frameworks that make writing CSS very easy. JavaScript now has its own libraries or frameworks again that makes putting these three guys together very smooth and easy. That's why they tell somebody, say, I'm a front-end engineer, I write React JS. It still ended with JS, React JS. I write Vue JS. I understand Next.js. All those things now are JavaScript frameworks. So, but those other small selected that are coming, Tailwind, they are like a subset of these three guys. So these three guys are the core of the web. So this is like the fundamentals of everything you need to know, right? So during the course of this lesson, we'll look at these two and then we'll try to play with them. So yeah, I'm already sharing my screen. I will try to launch. Okay, first off, let me even pull up an empty browser here and then show us. So like we already know, the client side, when we're discussing clients, the front end side of things, we usually build for the web, the browser. So now for you have okay, for you have already put your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript together and design a very fine looking page. You can access what you've designed via the browser, right? Browsers here, I'm referring to your Chrome, I'm referring to your Safari, I'm referring to your Brave browser, your or whatever browser you basically use to access the web, right? So what you'll be needing right now is just your browser and then a code editor. I think I've talked about code editor. We have a couple of code editors out there. We have VS Code. We have, yeah, this is VS Code, the code editor. We have Cursor. This is also a code editor with some elements of AI inside embedded. We have Sublime Text. Sublime Text. I started writing code with Notepad. I remember those days. So we have Notepad plus plus. It's a code editor. There are a couple of them out there. Right? This VS Code, Cursor, we have Sublime Text. Google has their own anti-gravity that has some AI embedded in them and all of. There are a lot of them out there. But what will I recommend? I will recommend you start with VS Code. So I will share this link in the WhatsApp group as well. So maybe for those that don't have it, after this session, you can also do well to install VS Code. That is what I also use, right? So if you check, I have my VS Code right here. But on a day-to-day, sometimes you find me using Cursor. I also have Cursor here, right? I use anti-gravity where as one of their test users. Yeah, it's there. I can't remember the last time I opened it. So, but on a day-to-day, you find me using Cursor or VS Code. But I will recommend you start with VS Code. So I've shared the link as well. All what you need to do is just download it in your on your device, and that will be all. With your VS Code and with your browser, you're good to go. Those are just the two things, key things you need. And then maybe we could take one step further and see internet, right? So that you also need to be doing your own research, asking questions as you go, basically. So those are like maybe the three key things you are needing for this session or why throughout this program, right? So let's begin with HTML. So for HTML, we're first going to look at the whole boilerplate of HTML, the structure of HTML, right? We've looked at these three things, what they do for the web, right? Basically, even if you can still even relate these three guys back to like maybe you trying to even build a house where you use HTML to build like the walls, the wall of your house. That's like the skeleton. Remember, if you want to have like a 2-bedroom, so it's how you form the foundation, build the skeleton of the walls. You're going to have a 2-bedroom. If you want a 3-bedroom, it means your HTML will be structured in such a way that it will be like it will take the shape and form of a 3-bedroom. If you're building a duplex, it means you're going to structure a building your HTML to look like a duplex. So HTML just gives you the structure, the wall, it gives you the blueprint. And then CSS, like we talked about, put in the skin, the styling, right? That's where you can then relate it to like maybe the painting of your house, right? And yeah, you can look at the painting of the house. People could still even put it like maybe like the furnitures. And then maybe for JavaScript side, if you're coming to like maybe building a house, maybe you could have like we could look at things like computerized doors that we can scan to come in. We can use NFCs cards like to enter through. So those are like smart doors, smart curtains, So that's like JavaScript coming in to do the smart things, basically, right? So that's just the work of those three guys. Once you understand this concept, you're good to go. So yeah, we can launch in Street and then begin looking at the boilerplate. So yeah, I'll load up my terminal. I'm a terminal guy. Terminal means, for example, I'm trying to navigate somewhere in my system and create a folder. Usually you go there and then right click and then you create, okay, like maybe for example, this is my desktop. I want to create a folder here, right click, new folder. I can't remember the last time I did this. Oh yeah, it's fun doing it. Then now name it, like maybe this is ICT Zoid underscore 2. Let me put underscore 1. Right? So this same approach, some of us, when my friends saw me doing that, I see some of us just like doing the hard things. But yeah, I on a day-to-day, you could see me doing that from a terminal. Why? This gives you, when you become very comfortable here, it gives you the confidence in even navigating into virtual private servers, VPS, to do configurations. Servers that does not have an interface to go and click and click and click. Yeah, there are ways you can make it clickable, but yeah, sometimes this gives you like the power, right? You guys are now becoming engineers, so let's behave as engineers. You can't, a regular non-techie is coming here to right click and do new folder, right one. No, you don't do that now. Let's be professional for us. So yeah, you can navigate from here, right? So inside my terminal, let me zoom in. I will also, what I would do is I will write some basics command lines and then push it and give you guys access to also take a look at it. So inside my terminal, I could come and write CD, which means change directory. Directory is a folder. Basically, that's the D means directory. C means change directory. I want to navigate somewhere basically, right? So I can say, okay, CD to my desktop. So currently, now I'm on my desktop. You can see desktop written here. So I've navigated to my desktop from my terminal. So how do we access this terminal on our Windows system? Windows system has CMD, command line, CMD. You can just press your Windows button and search for CMD. I think it's CMD. There's a Windows system close to me. Yeah, CMD.
CMD.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you could just, Windows has CMD. So you could just search for, press your Windows button and write CMD. You see it will pop up. You can use it there as well. So I have navigated to my desktop. So I can do LS, means like list the items. I want to see, let's say I'm in a folder. I want to see everything that is inside that folder. I can just do LS. So you can see these are the two folders on my desktop. This is the one I just created now, and there's another folder called PFI on my desktop. Those are like just the only two folders. This folder here, you can see it here. So from my terminal, I'm able to see everything, right? So imagine, that's why when I shared my screen, you notice there was actually almost nothing on my desktop because I can get things done here, right? So if I then want to create a folder, the same way somebody clicked on new folder, I could just, okay, make a directory. And then from here, I can give it a name straight away. Call that directory ICT. Let me call that directory ICT, ICT Zoid. ICT Zoid. Underscore 2. So I've created the directory. Let me close this terminal and see where, okay, it's appearing on my second screen. Let me stop sharing and share my other screen so you see what I'm referring to. This is the screen. Yeah. So this is the folder I just created. So when I did LS, remember the PFI folder I was reading, this is it, right? So let me stop sharing the screen and share the other one. Okay, share. Now, okay, let show you. Let me share the other one. Yeah. So I've actually created the folder, right? I can move it to the second screen. So even from here, if I do ls again to confirm, you can see that the folder is here, right? So now you can see the folder I created. Sorry guys, just a second. Let me switch my internet. Yeah, I'm back. I just wanted to quickly switch to my internet so we won't have issues. So yeah, I just did ls. You can now see the three folders are here. The one that was here initially, the PFI folder, and this is the one I just created. So let's say maybe I delete this one, move this guy to me, come back, and then I do ls again. See, it's no longer there. So yeah, then from here, as well, I can navigate into the folder I want called ICT Zoid _2. So currently you can see that I am inside of ICT Zoid. So you can set up your VS Code such that, I think when you install VS Code, it usually asks you to install is it short command or something. So the essence of that thing is, let's say maybe I want to open this current folder in my cursor. I could just type cursor dots and it's going to open with yeah, you can see cursor opened, and then this folder is like my default folder, right? So you can also set up your VS Code so that I can just type code dot. I don't know if I did the setup. Okay, yeah, I did the setup for it. So it opened up. Let me put it here. It's right here. Yeah, so this is my VS Code environment. I've not used it for some time. It's asking me to accept plenty things. So yeah, you can just minimize this or close it. So this is the folder now. So basically, this is VS Code interface. This is just how the guy looks like. So there's no file here. We just open an empty folder. If you come to this right side, here is just more like an explorer where you get to see the file, the folder you're currently in. You can create files inside and all. Here you can use it to search. Right? You can use this to install extensions. So extensions are just they are just small packages that makes life very easy for you, right? So there are a couple of extensions that are also installed that I've been using. I'm looking for a better way to explain what extensions is. I'm looking for a non-technical way. So maybe just look at extensions like autocomplete. Autocomplete. Let's say maybe you type in a text on your phone, or you're trying to message somebody on WhatsApp and you want to type a word like communication. By the time you type COM again, you now see communication, like there's like a suggestion like that pops up. So that's what some of those extensions basically do. It's either some help you to format your file, some could help you, the some works as IntelliSense. I think I should have like IntelliSense. Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, part IntelliSense. Some works like, some give you that HTML and CSS support, so that once you start writing CSS, help you autocomplete. That helps you like move pretty kind of very fast, right? That's just basically what extensions are. So there are just different extensions for different use cases. So here you can always search for any extension and then install it. You can, for starters, once you download your VS Code, you could just come search for HTML here and see if there are packages. You can install this extension. See, I already have this guy installed. So you can see auto close tags. We'll talk about tags. So this is also an extension that helps you do auto closing of tags. So this is also very important. You can look for it and install as well. Auto complete tag, create extensions basically. Yeah, so basically that's just like the job of extensions. Yeah, this is an extension I installed. Cloud, yeah, GitHub, this is an extension. This is also an extension. Thunder Client, this is also an extension. So for you, maybe when you install your VS Code, you may not be, you will see Explorer, you see Search, you see these extensions. I'm not sure you see this, but you won't see this except you install the extension. You won't see this except you install it. You will not also see this. You will not see this. Yeah, I use some of this for, you will not also see this and these two, Git and these two. So you may likely not see yours looking like this. It's because maybe I installed some of those extensions. That's why I see this left side panel looking like this, right? But yeah, maybe as we keep going to the lesson, you get to understand more on extensions. So now we have our VS Code open. So like I said, this is just the two things you need for starters. Your browser, in fact, three things: your browser, internet for you to be able to do quick research, and your code editor. So I will recommend you start with VS Code. So now that we're in this file, I can just create a file here. So the first one, create a file. The second one, create a folder, right? So maybe I could even create a folder here and call this lesson 1. So inside of lesson 1, I can create files inside. So remember, you can, if you want to still play with your terminal, you can come back here. I just open a fresh terminal and you can navigate to your desktop. You see everything is there. Navigate to your folder. So once you do ls, you can see that folder I created in VS Code is even here, right? So yeah, that's basically this guy. I just wanted to come back here and then maybe do like a quick recap. So we have created this file. So we're going to create a basic one file. So the same way your Microsoft Word document ends with .doc, you are, when you see .csv, you know you're now playing. You see .pdf, you know this is a PDF file. .png, you know this like an image. .svg, see an image. Yeah, all those extensions. Same, bring that same knowledge in here. HTML files also have an extension. If you create a HTML file, maybe I could call this, let me call this day1 dot, let me call this lesson 1 instead. Lesson underscore 1 dot HTML. So this is the file. So let me show you one funny thing about this file. Let's go to my browser. Let me pull up that folder here. So this was the folder we created. So I open this folder. By default, now it's going to, if you pay close attention, notice when I first opened this folder, it was taking the shape and form of a browser, like my default browser. Let me go back, open it again. Not doing that again. Yeah, but if you save this file on your own end, you could see that this file will now be looking, if Chrome, for example, is your default browser, it will take the look of, it will look as though it's a Chrome, like, yeah, as though it's like maybe a Chrome browser or something of sort. It's just to tell you that, oh, this file you created is meant for the web. The same way, if you create a Microsoft Word document, you see, for, I think there are rare scenarios, right? I think my PC does that. It will now bring up a logo of Office to show you that, oh, this file is like a Word, an Office Word file sort of, right? So maybe once you create on your end and then maybe take a look at it, it's going to take the look and form of your default browser, right? So my default browser was Chrome. So if you notice the first time I created that file, let me create another one again and then go back and let's open it. Let's maybe I call this one lesson underscore 2.html, and then I save this. Let me come back quick. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that quick flick, right? So basically, right, that's but I believe you understand what I mean, right? So, but once you save it on your end, you get to understand. So yeah, this is our plain HTML file. This course is fast paced, so I'll still teach you a lot of shortcuts. We don't have to go through the old ways of stressing our life, right? On your PC, if you press Shift exclamation mark, you have this exclamation mark, and then you select this, it's going to create the boilerplate. I don't cause wahala with this shortcut. Okay, let me take this away. Let me comment this thing. So this is what we're trying to do. Just ignore. Let me zoom in a bit. I want to believe you can see my screen very well. So just assume you're not seeing what is up here. Basically, in writing a HTML document, right, you first begin with your doc declaration. So you're just saying, oh, this thing I want to do, it's a document type. It's a doc type of HTML. So it's like a declaration. The browser, it's just telling the browser that, oh, this file is a HTML file. That's what this doc type simply means. So down the line, this is where your HTML starts. So why am I getting all these snippets? It's because I have an extension that is helping me do all of these things. So I don't have to manually start typing some of those things. So I can just type tab on my PC and then you see everything auto write. So auto complete. I think I have to enable this auto complete in my next lesson. Yeah. So, oh God, I'm not using this thing. Yeah, reject. Good. So the first line we wrote was just us saying that, oh, this document is an HTML document. Then the second thing is HTML, the same way in Microsoft you write words. Here, HTML has what we call their elements. And elements are made up of tags. You have an opening and then a closing tag. Then your content is in between it. So how do you know it's an opening? Which one is opening and then which one is closing? Let me pick this out. So HTML here now. So okay, I'm saying that, oh, this is, you see, I wrote HTML here just with less than sign, HTML in the middle, then greater than sign. Then down the line here, we have HTML / HTML, sorry, less than sign / HTML. So this / that is here is what makes this particular tag. So this one here, we can call this guy, this is an opening tag. This one here, this is a closing tag. Then in between here, this is where you could then write all your content. Then all of these things together, that's opening tag plus your content plus the closing tag, is what I was referring to as an element. So this is an element. Opening plus your content and all. So maybe down the line, if I say, okay, put a closing tag, you should understand what I mean. But there are still some elements that are self-closing tag. What do I mean? You could see an element written like this. Maybe this is an image, for example. So this alone, no, let me use a simpler one. We have like break. So this is an element. Only this guy now it has an opening tag, it has its content, and then it has a closing tag. So only this guy on its own is complete. You could see I have some like HR. Those are like line breakers. But yeah, I'll put all these guys into this template and you see what all of them are doing. So, but basically, remember that HTML file contain elements. An element comprises of opening and a closing tag with the content in between. That's just what HTML is, right? It just comprises of elements, different plenty elements. Each of those elements has opening and a closing content in between them. All right, so back to our boilerplate. So I believe you understand what this guy is now. So, and then elements has attributes. Just the same way a human being has attributes. You say, oh, I am light skin complexion. That's my attribute. Or this guy is tall, it's an attribute. This guy is short, is the attribute of this guy. Is a black guy, it's an attribute. He's chubby, is an attribute, right? So to declare or to define, remember at this point, you are the engineer, you're the one defining the attributes of your structure back to the building scenario. You are the builder of this house. You're the one defining the length of your window, how tall the window is going to be, how wide you want the door to be. So those are like the width of a door, the height of a window, the width of a window. Those are like attributes of that building. So now when building, you now have to start defining those attributes. Bring that logic back here. When writing an element, you now define the attribute of that element. When trying to create a human being, putting those skeletons together, you now start defining the attribute of the human being's head. Do I want to give you a big score so that you have a big head, have a small head, and things like that? So this is an attribute of, like a default attribute, just saying that this HTML document is going to be in English. That is all, right? So in between here, this is where we're going to write our content. So we have an opening tag and then a closing tag. It's in between that you write your content. So in between here now, there are two very important things. So HTML, look at it like a human being. A human being, we can say he has like two main parts. There's like the head and the body. That's how people, that's how maybe we generally just try to segment human being. Say human being has a head and a body. HTML also has a head and a body. Let's come back. So here you have your head. This is the head. You write it as head. Yes, head like this. Then it has a body. You write it as body. God. This my autocomplete. Stressing life at all. So now it has a head and it has a body. So what does the body do? The body is the one that contains all the gibberish you see on the web. Everything you see on the web that you interact with is packaged inside of this body. What is inside the head? Look at the head more like the brain, where all the knowledge fed into that system is dumped in the head. Let's say you have a CSS file you want to connect somewhere else, or you have written your JavaScript, you're going and then you want to link it to your HTML. You are linking it in the head. So it's like the head is holding, the same way a human being is more like the head is holding the brain. Like, and then the brain is the one doing the thinking. That's how HTML have the head section where you put the brain. So even if you're writing your JavaScript inside one single page, it's advisable you write it in the head. So the body now has, the body is the one that is wearing the clothes. Usually, I'm not trying to talk anything about the ladies, right? But in an ideal situation where the makeup does not exist, all the all the beautification of the body, all the beautification of human beings happens from here down below. This is where we wear clothes. We wear fine, expensive clothes. We wear shoes. Expensive things happen down. Not now that expensive things are happening up, right? So, but this is where all expensive things happen. Yeah, even today, still down happen, all the expensive things happen, right? So the body is where all the beautification, all the fine flying things you see, they are packaged inside of the body. So all the things, the parts that thinks are in the brain, in the head. It's in the head section. So now if you're writing anything, so remember this is an element, right? It has an opening and then a closing. So if you come up to what this guy generated for me, you could see it has a head and then it has a body. So metadata are more of like pieces of information. If you're doing maybe yeah, if you check SEOs, maybe somebody share a link with you. For example, I've been sharing links with us. You see, may I share the link? You can see like a brief description, like, okay, this is something, just short, brief descriptions. All those things, that's where they happen. They are here. Another instance, let me, yeah, don't worry, let me not deviate. So inside of the head, we could keep, for now, let's keep one very important thing. Just that's the title of the page. So we could call this my first HTML. To this lesson maybe boring for some people that already have the idea, but yeah, we just need to understand the grassroots. Then before, because we'll not be doing this as time goes on, right? We just need to understand the grassroots. We'll not be doing this as time goes on. I just want us to understand the concept before. Once I start running and calling terms, you remember what I meant because I once said that, right? So that's why I'm taking time on this particular part. So yeah, bear with me if it's sounding boring to you, right? But the good part is you also, from my explanation, you understand it, and then maybe should in case you get to teach somebody else, you can maybe use some of those scenarios to explain to people, right? So yeah, that's like the other side of it. So we've talked about the head. So inside the head, we can have like a title, right? So basically, you can put an element inside another element, but there's like a caveat to it. There are some elements it is not advisable. It is not good to put inside others, right? It's just as good as telling a 2-year-old to carry his father on his shoulders. It doesn't look nice. So there are some elements that are inferior to others. There are others that are referred to as containers. Those ones that we refer to them as containers, those are the ones that can hold other elements, and they can even hold other containers, basically. So look at because why I'm explaining that, because I dump a whole element inside another element, right? So, but also ensure that you start and then you close it. Not like, okay, I start HTML title here and then I come and put the title closing tag outside of here. It doesn't work that way. So you start and close it. It starts and then it closes here, basically, right? So inside here, inside the head, we'll have just title for now. So like I said, it's the body that holds every other information. Then this is where we can then start writing our maybe code base and all. So here we'll talk about a lot of elements, different kinds of elements, right? So we have each one here. Basically, I believe you now understand the structure of HTML. So if I come back and I just do exclamation, I have that, hit enter, and you see me with this thing, you understand what this thing is. Any question before I push ahead? Okay, makes sense. All right, let's go. So now you understand all these things. So if you have your VS Code ready. You don't need, I don't expect you to go and start writing HTML, start open bracket, HTML. It's good for you to understand all these things, but I think we can just proceed. But it's great to start them, understand, and move. So now that we have this, another very important extension I want you guys to install is Live Server. You check under extensions, you see this Live Server. So I already have it installed. So because I have it installed, is the one that is giving this go live here. So if I click on go live, it has opened this port on my PC, right? So basically, I can as well close this guy. So if I want this file to go live, yeah, let me see. Okay, let me not go there now. Yeah, so but install the extension is great to have. I'll show you guys how to use it as well. So let's go to this file now that we created and upload it up with our browser. So remember, it's inside ICT 02, inside lesson 1. This is it. So I'll just click it straight to open. It has opened in my browser. Let me bring the browser here. So this is it. For now, it's just blank. There's nothing happening there. Remember the name of the file. But there's something very important I want us to see. If you look at this document, where is this name coming from? Let me go back to the code. This is document. So if I rename this thing to my first HTML file, I save it, come back, let me reload. You see it has changed to my first HTML file. So whenever you visit a website, let's say you visit something like which website? ICT Zoid. Let's visit our website. You can see ICT Zoid Tech Labs, yeah, all those things happening on top here. They can see this is where they came from. They came from title here, right? Yeah. So anytime you visit any website and see that, just know that, oh, they did some metadata in the HTML, in the heading section, right? So the body now is what is where we are going to be writing our code base, basically. So we have looked at the HTML anatomy. There's one last thing again, very important thing I also want us to look at, because I'll be using it a lot now going further. It's called comment. Comment. I mean this. Comment. The same way you pass comments to a document, like let's say maybe somebody shared a Google Doc with you. You're collaborating on a Google Doc with somebody, right? And then you read through the document, you saw some places that need like modification, you just pass in a comment there, right? The comment, and then maybe you let me proceed, and then later on you download that Google Doc as PDF to maybe share with somebody. It is not going to go along with that comment. And even the person you're collaborating with on that document only sees that comment, does not see that comment as part of maybe it's as part of a sentence. It's like just an instruction to do this thing here. So coming back to programming in general, comments that are non-executable lines of code. The compiler or the computer is not going to read those ones because there are comments, like you just leave in the code base. So what are the importance of comment? Let's say I'm working on a large code base, and then I don't want somebody else that is working with me to come and get stuck. I could comment things like, okay, I could just drop one comment out. Oh, this function does this thing. So that even me myself, I go back to my code base, I will not get entirely lost, because there are some very call or hard call algorithms you could write that even you go back to that algorithm, you'll be thinking, what was I thinking when I was writing this thing? How does this one connect? So sometimes it's just good for you to leave a comment so that, oh, when you come back, you say, oh, this is what I was trying to achieve. Or maybe you did not finish what you wanted to do, right? You could just drop a comment there so that once you come back to review your code base, it's like, okay, yeah, I was working on this thing, right? And this is what I've done, and this is where I stopped, right? So they are just more of notes. that the computer is not going to read. It's just for human readability, right? So we'll be using comment a lot in this lesson, right? So for the HTML structure, this is what we'll be talking about. So how do we write comment in HTML? You write, okay, let me see. I like this part. I just love this part. Oh, so I've forgotten how to write comment in HTML. It's very strange, right? But yeah, my IntelliSense is actually showing me. Yeah, this is it. Okay, but imagine you are in my shoes, right? And then you actually doesn't know what to do. These are actually how to write comments. It begins with your hand sign and then an exclamation with two hyphens. Then you could write the words, okay, this is a comment. And then you continue two, and then close paragraph. So this is a comment basically in HTML. So, but when we get to JavaScript, we don't write comments like this in JavaScript. Right? For JavaScript, we could have things, we have multiple line comments and single line comments basically. Right? So, but this is just a comment. If you even look at it, it's grayed out. But yeah, how would you know if you forget? It's simple. Just go and search here. You can even be using your Gemini for your own search. Correct. How to write comments in HTML. Read it. Writing comments in HTML is straightforward. You use a specific syntax that tells the browser, hey, ignore this part, it's just for the humans. Like I explained earlier, right? Okay. Give me a sample comment. Or you can still go to, there are a lot of resources out there. Right? Yeah, you can see sample. You can now see them. Okay, you now remember that would this how to write comments. So it's okay to forget. You don't cram anything, but understand what you're trying to do. That's the most important part. All right. So now we have written a comment now. So why I wrote this comment, so basically I'll be using this comment to maybe be leaving notes here. So basically what I want us to be looking at now is the HTML structure. So under this, we'll talk about text. So we'll look at text, and then we'll look at the dash tab. Okay, we'll also look at hyperlinks and maybe images. Then down here, dash. We'll quickly look at, let me see the time. 9 already. That's interesting. Okay, it's still fine. We'll still look at web forms and user input, and then we'll look at the we'll look at yeah, I think these are like the 3 things we'll just quickly look at in this lesson, right? And no, let me even include CSS here. So let's stretch this lesson a bit. So we'll look at connecting, how to connect CSS to HTML. And let me put another comment here, dash. We'll look at what should I look at? CSS properties. We can't cover these guys, or there are plenty. CSS, let me do selectors. Yeah, and properties. So there's CSS. Oh, there's another one, but we may likely not do this guy. This is box and layout. That was a good suggestion. So these are like the things I would want us to cover quickly before we wrap up. for today. Yeah, it's 9:02 already. Just give me 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I should close up all these things, right? 20 minutes. Right. So for text, we have two kinds of text in HTML, like two core kinds of text. So we have it's just like, let me bring this thing back to what we already know. Why am I stressing myself? It's just like our normal Microsoft Word, right? When you're writing, filling anything on Microsoft Word, you have your heading, you have paragraphs. That is all. And then it's the paragraph that I can then maybe do italics, or you could also put tables. The same way you put tables that far, you can also put tables here, right? So, but I'll just deal with only text. So for text, like I was saying, we have headings here to write. Let me put this as a comment. We have headings and paragraph. Oh, I saw that. We have headings. So basically, we have headings and paragraphs. So for the heading, it's tricky and funny. The same way in Microsoft Word, you have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. It's the same thing that is happening here. Let's say you have heading 1. I can write, okay, this, I can write, let me just put in my text to be heading 1, and then a paragraph. So the syntax is H1. Remember, this is your opening and this is your closing. This is your opening, this is your closing. Content is in between them, and this is an element, right? So let me come back here and refresh. You can see the heading 1 is now appearing. This is the text. See, this guy is bold enough. So if I come back, let me copy this and dump back. And from, instead of heading 1, let me change this guy to heading 2. So save this. We'll go back. Let me refresh this. You see, it has now become smaller. I think it's still on my clipboard. Let me paste it and change this guy to heading 3. And save it. Come back. Let me refresh this. You see, this heading is now smaller. So basically, what I'm saying, what I want us to understand is heading tags. This is the syntax. It's H1 to, it spans from H1 to H6. As the number is increasing, it's reducing. There's no H7. It stops at H6, right? So as the number is increasing, the heading is decreasing, basically. Yeah, those are like the two core text elements. You could see how things like inside of a paragraph, let's say maybe I want to make this particular text bold. We have like a B for bold. Let me put that text in between there. So let me come back. I've saved that. I'll refresh. You can notice, if you notice, this guy is bold. Let me zoom in this close. You can see that this text is now written in bold, right? If I can change this to emphasis, would have, let me refresh this, see how this is now. Okay, yeah. So yeah, all of these things, you can also take a look at them, do your own research to understand more about text. That's just the key about text. Hyperlinks, let's say you want to connect, you want to add a link to, so for hyperlinks, basically what this guy uses, they use anchor tags. This is what I mean. Dash. They use anchor tags. They use anchor tags. So this is like a typical example. You start with anchor tag, then you pass in, let me cut this guy out so you see. So anchor tag is A, right? Oh my god, IntelliSense, give me no. Yeah, it's A, this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag. So in the opening tag, you now pass in your attribute. href, this is like you're passing in the link to the website you want this thing to take you to. Let's say maybe I want this thing now, take me to www.ictzoid.com. So I've saved this, come back, refresh it. So this is it. So in between here now, you're only passing the text you want it to appear. So if I hover on this thing, you can see at the bottom left of my screen, somewhere down here. Just pay attention to down here. You can see the link there. So if I click on this thing, you notice it will open ictzoid.com. So that's just how you play with links. For images, you use the img tag. So this guy too, like I said earlier, this guy is self-closing. It's a self-closing tag. Oh God, give me so then this first source, here you define where you have the image. You could have the image in this folder and then point it there, right? Let me quickly take a snapshot of an image and then keep it there. Let me snap just this area of my phone and go to our code base and drop it inside of this place. Yeah, so this is the screenshot I just took. So now we can easily add that image here. So here / something like this. I've saved this thing. So here you now pass in the description. This auth means description. This is basically for screen readers. You know that if you're building, also put it in consideration that there are other people, blind people that can see access your web app. And then those guys use screen readers basically. And then there are also times where the server will not send the complete packets of your image. Then it will come pieces. So there will be an alternative text that will display. I want to believe you guys understand me clearly because we've talked about packets, server sending packets, things breaking and things not coupling well when we're discussing how the internet works, right? So you now begin to see how all these lessons connect. So if I come back here and then I refresh this, good. You notice that this thing now, the image is broken, but the description has to show. So imagine this thing was like on a server, image got broken. The description now I have to tell the person, okay, this is like the description of the image. So here, let's say maybe I pass like a description like this is the background image of my PC. I've saved this guy. Let me refresh. So the image field, you do not see it, but now reading this message, you understand what this thing is all about, right? But let's make it work. Making it work for us to remove all these unnecessary things. And open this guy. So now this is the image on our web page. So images also have attributes like width. Remember, you're defining, I want this guy to be 100 pixels. It's like you want your dot to be 100 pixels. Height, I want the height to be 200 pixels. You save it, come back here, refresh this, now see this. So maybe I want this one to be 100. Save this, you come back. So this is it. This one is the link and all right. So let's see, I have a text here, a paragraph here. This is a paragraph. Remember I talked about BR, which is a self-closing tag. It's just a line break. Let me refresh this. It has broken this line into two. That's what BR does. I also talked about HR earlier. I said it's also a self-closing tag. You come back here, let me refresh. It's just a line like this, basically. Right? So those are like the different elements. So when you're talking about input and web form, let's say you want to collect user input. That different. This is also a self-closing tag. So input has different types, right? So type text. Let me refresh. You see what type text. So this is an input field where user can type his name, right? So maybe let's say I did something like name, Meanwhile, let me introduce one more element called div. Div is like a bucket, right? It's a bucket. So let's say maybe inside this div, I now say something like, I want to have, let me use this span, call this name. So name, so this is name, user now type his name is Samuel. So that's how user input start happening, right? So that's basically about form. So there are different types of, so there's it, let me just duplicate this. Oh, sorry. Oops. Copy this, paste it down. Can change this to maybe also email. So I can change this type from text to email. Let me paste it down here again. I can change this thing to phone. No, not phone. I can change this to age, and I say I want the type of the text to be number. Right. So let's go back, refresh this thing. You can see. So this guy is going to accept emails. This guy can only accept numbers. If I type any other thing here, it's not going to work. It's only numbers he can accept. But this text can accept both numbers and names. But it look at numbers as letters. We'll explain that maybe when we start talking about JavaScript. When we start discussing JavaScript. So yeah, that's like web forms. So this, you can also do your research and look at the different types of input fields. There's checkbox, there's there's radio buttons and all those things. Then connecting CSS. Now connecting CSS, we have different ways of using CSS. You can write CSS in a different file and link it here. Let's say maybe I have inside this place now I can create a new file and call this thing lesson underscore 1.css. It also has its own extension, but there are two ways of writing, three ways actually of writing CSS. You can put it in an external file. You can put it in the head section here, inside this head section. You can put it on the line, right? So let's say maybe I want to use it in the head section. And then it also has so connecting here we can see that we have let me put this inline CSS. This inline CSS, this is like you putting it on the line. Then we have there is the internal. Yeah, good. Internal CSS. This is the one where you put it in the head section, right? Let me put okay, this is in the header, and then this one is on the line, like on the actual element. Let me just keep in the opening tag. You write this one in the opening tag. You know what tags are. Then the third guy is the external. Great. External. So you write this one in a separate file. So these are the three different ways, right? So we also have selectors. Selectors are the way, it's just like selectors are more like identifiers. For example, you call me by my name, Samuel, I will answer you, right? So let's say you can give these guys names, right? Selectors, let me see. You have for selectors as well, you have you have class selectors, you have what again? You have ID selectors, you have so this is what I mean. I mean, maybe once at that type. Oh, cool. We have element selectors. That's one. Then you have let me see. Good class selectors. I mentioned this guy. Then you have so all of these things. This is the work of my IntelliSense, trying to auto-complete some of these things. Then you have ID selectors. Great. And then I think you okay, I've mentioned elements. The advanced ones, exactly, pseudo class selectors. But let's keep these ones by the side. Yes, no cause problem. So elements, you remember what an element is? This is an element, div. So they are like, this is one div, two, three divs. So if I call, so now let me first do internal selectors in the heading side, right? So inside the head, let me collapse this and you see where I'm going. In the head section, maybe I'm going to do this after title, it doesn't care. I could come here and write style. Okay. Don't worry about these plenty things. Oops. Let me delete everything that's inside here. So I just added another element called style that I want to write all my styles here. So styles has let's pick this guy. It has this is your selector, and then this is your value. Let me delete some of these things that are too much. So this is the selector. Remember we talked about different kinds of selectors down here. CSS selector, element selector. So the element we have here, we have a div. So let's say maybe I come here, I want to style div. I can just come and say div. So I just call div. So the other part is every div here is going to respond to this call. It's as good as you just enter a house and then the house that has 3 Samuels, and then you now see Samuel. All the Samuels will turn and look at you. That's what is happening here. So now that I say div, all the divs are going to respond. So let me give it a background color of light gray. So I say all the divs take this color. So I just say div, take background color of this thing. Let's refresh this thing and see. See, all the divs have the background color. Let me make them separate so that you can see what I mean. Okay, see, all the divs have a margin at the bottom of 20 pixels. So if I go back, let me refresh this thing, you can see this is div 1, div 2, you see them having the different colors. So you can then declare, so this is a selector. This is called a property, and then this is the value. So if you want your div to be tall, you could give it, okay, div height of 200 pixels. Come back here, all the divs will size. Let me refresh this. You can see all of them getting tall to 200 pixels and all. So this is your selector, and then property, and then value. So what we use here, this is an element selector. So if you want to then look at class selector, let's say maybe I can come to, let me add another paragraph here. Okay. The P, lorem 20. Let me add another paragraph, Peter, lorem 10. So this first paragraph now, okay, let me come back as well and do this class selector. Can I say P? Take the color, the color of the text now to be red. Come back here, and then I refresh this thing. See, all the P's have red colors. But then I can do something now. Oh, I don't want this thing to be happening like that, right? I can say, okay, let me, instead of doing that thing, I just want one particular P to have red, which is this one with more text. So I can come here and give it a class. That's okay, class of, let me call it para, but give it better names, don't do this. So here, for calling classes, you begin with a dot. Yeah, you can see para, right? Font size. Now, so for this particular div with a class of this, is going to be should take the color of red, font size 20. So if I come back here and then I refresh this thing, it's only this one now. You see the font size have increased and it took that color. Then I can then come back here and give this down div an ID. I'll explain the different Then for IDs, I can say, okay, I call this one, what will I call this one? Second. Let me just call this one second. So for IDs, you call hash, then the name of the paragraph. So now for this one, now I think you take the color of blue with font size 18. So let me refresh this. So this is the div. The first P does not happen. Take anything. What's the difference between a div and a class? This is the difference. A class is like a bucket. Let me take you back to your primary school. When you say we are from the same class, it means there are plenty of you that were sitting in that same class. He's my classmate. So plenty people can be in one class. Plenty divs, plenty elements can be tied to one class. Let's say I can come up here. This first, remember, is all this one that has this class. So the first paragraph, I can also come here and give it that, okay, you two take the class. What did I call that class? Para. So because this div is in that, this element is in that class, is also going to behave like everybody that's in that class. It's like everybody that was in the same class had the same classroom teacher, right? ID now. My international passport ID does not tally with your own. My NIN ID does not tally with your own. My phone number does not tally with your own. It's identical to me. So no two elements can take the same ID, but 20 elements can take the same class, but they can't take the same ID. That's what makes the difference between ID and class selectors. Yeah, I want to believe that makes sense. Yeah, 24 minutes. Let me see. Yeah, literally we have covered internal. So for the external, it's just you, all these CSS you have written here now, you pick it, you take everything. Again, take note of something. This is how comments are also written in CSS. This is how comments are written in HTML. So this was a comment, right? So let me put this thing here and just comment everything. On your keyboard, mark I'm using command /. On Windows, you can use control /, and yeah, you can see now that I've commented this guy. Let me refresh. See, everything is back to usual. So in my CSS file, let's say I paste all those styling here, and then I link that file. Assume this thing does not exist. So I'm now linking that CSS file. So now I have it as an external file, right? How do you do that linking in it? Can any of you guys drop it in the comment quickly? But I think it's something like this. Link, good. Tap. Yeah, so this is how you link. You just use this command. This is also a self-closing tag. Link. The name of the file is the ref. So, but this is not styled. The name of my file is lesson1_CSS. So ref, this is like, I'm saying, okay, the attribute, this is a style sheet, right? So I've saved this thing and I've linked it. Let me refresh and see. You see those styles are applied here. So instead of putting all my styles here together in one single file and make this file big, I can keep it outside, right? I can do anything I want here, and then it will take affect the other side. So in this thing from 200, let's say I can even reduce it to 100 and then put a border of 2 pixel solid black. So I've saved this. Let me come back and refresh. You can see I put that border solid black for this divs. So that's your external CSS. Then we have treated all these selectors. We've looked at external and internal. Then inline. For inline CSS, let's say maybe I come to this. Let me put another p tag here with Lauren of 15. Yeah, so I have another p tag here. And then I want it to, I can come here and write style. And say, okay, for this one, I want your color to be blue. Did I give everybody blue? Blue. So now I'm writing it on the line. That's what this refers to as inline. So this particular paragraph, now let's come back and refresh this. Okay, no. Let me give it another color. First off, let me remove this color so that we can see it very well. You can see the, okay, this is the paragraph I just added here, right? So let me come back here and even give it color to be, am I giving it a red? Okay, red. Red. What's happening here? Red. So in writing this, is you're just going to do the property column, the value. Even this side, we are doing property value. You use semicolon at the end to show, okay, this is the end of this declaration. Each of them has like a semicolon. That same approach is what is happening here. Right? So I can even do, okay, font size of 35 pixels. Let me go back. Refresh this, you can see it here. So that's inline CSS basically. Yeah, so I think we were able to cover inline, external, internal, and external, element selector, class selectors, ID selectors. So I think we've done a great job with HTML and CSS. Every other thing is just add-on on this thing. This is the core fundamentals of HTML and CSS. So yeah, I said you should give me 20 minutes. I took 28 minutes. Apologies. So yeah, any questions so far? So good. Call it a day. Tomorrow we'll be looking at JavaScript, the brain behind the system. Any question? Yeah, Destiny, shoot.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the knowledge. So my question is not entirely on HTML and CSS. It was about
Mhm.
the dialogue that popped up in your screen. You see on the Windows, I should use what's it called? Is it DMS? I should check my Windows.
Okay, see, uh, do you mean this? Which dialogue are you referring to? Do you mean
The
the
one,
command line?
not CSS and HTML, not this one. The one you
Yeah,
did from the beginning of.
do you mean this?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah, what
because
I'm
I want
saying is look
to
for
try it.
CMD,
CM.
letter C,
Oh,
letter M, and letter D. Just type CMD on in that search bar, you see it.
okay, sir. So I can use. I was also asking if you can in the code, is it must for it to be short or you can use a full one, like the one you wrote make a directory. You made it short. So can I use a short one or a longer one? Can both of them work?
That's like basically the command mkdir, make it directory.
Okay, that
It's
means
a
it has to do
command.
with.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, sir.
you have to write it in full. But like I said, I'll push some commands and then share with you guys so you could just also pick from there, like how to navigate from command line prompts. And
Okay, sir. Thank you.
thank you. Uh, any other question? Okay. So if there's no other question, I want to say thank you guys for staying up till 9:31. We did 1 hour 30 minutes today. Yeah, thank you so much.